Hello everyone, I am Sindhu Kavi, and in this video we shall be looking at certain cryptocurrency related topics. So the topics that we shall be covering are Byzantine general problem, proof of work and proof of stake, and even the differences between proof of work and proof of stake consensus mechanism. So let's get started. Let's look at this fictional Byzantine empire with a general who has many allies but is in a confusion of whether he can trust them. What if the information he is getting is manipulated, or he is getting it from an imposter, or he himself misinterprets the message? So how does he rely or even come to a conclusion without the element of trust being involved? That is the problem of the Byzantine general. So this exact problem persists even in the blockchain technology or the blockchain realm. We know that blockchains are decentralized ledgers. That is, there are nodes across the network, or there are different participants all across the globe because of its distributed nature. In such a vastly distributed network, how do we ensure that all of the participants are in consensus, that is, are in agreement with a certain decision? This is a problem that keeps going on and on in the blockchain realm, but each cryptocurrency or blockchain network comes up with its own unique solution or uses already existing consensus mechanisms in order to address what is known the Byzantine general problem. This is a problem in game theory, where we are all looking forward or looking towards a consensus algorithm or mechanism in order to ensure that none of the participants are compromised or any malicious activities can happen. So there are two types that we will be looking at in this video, which is proof of work and proof of stake. Moving on, we shall be looking forward towards the next segment of the video, which is about proof of work. Satoshi Nakamoto, in the infamous white paper of Bitcoin, claims to have solved the Byzantine general problem by gamifying the process. And the consensus mechanism or the solution that the paper suggests is proof of work. So proof of work, in the simplest terms or in essence, means your reward for performing a certain work. So how is proof of work working in the Bitcoin network? So miners are in a competition of finding out or solving a mathematical problem which requires a lot of energy as well as computational expertise in order to solve. And the first one to solve this problem will be rewarded with Bitcoins. And so what are they finding? They are trying to find something called a hash, and this hash needs to be generated from a nonce, and this hash needs to be below a certain difficulty level or below the certain number below the certain target number in order for the block to be added. Miners are the ones who collect transactions, and once they collect the transactions, they need to find out the right hash in order for their block to be added. And only if their number is the right hash will their block be added. And that is how consensus is maintained in the Bitcoin network. Again, to sum it up, these miners are competing towards finding out the right hash, and once this hash is the right hash, the block is added. Once the block is added, the miners will be rewarded with Bitcoins. Currently, miners are being rewarded with 6.25 Bitcoins per block. However, within the next 20 days, the Bitcoin halving will take place, thus leading to a decrease in the value of the number of Bitcoins that the miners will earn, which is 3.125 Bitcoins per block. So that is all you need to know about proof of work mechanism. And I do understand that there might be a temptation to start mining yourself, but let me warn you that there are mining rigs exclusively dedicated towards finding out hashes and adding blocks themselves. So entering into the mining competition could be a tedious task requiring huge or enormous sources of energy as well as computational expertise in order to solve these cryptographic problems. So let's move on to proof of stake mechanism in the next segment of this video. In the year 2022, Ethereum came up with a completely different transition from the proof of work mechanism to something called the proof of stake consensus mechanism. So what happens in the proof of stake consensus mechanism? So the consensus mechanism of proof of stake works this way, where validators are chosen based on the amount or the number of Ethereums that they are staking or ethers that they are staking in order for them to have the right or the privilege of validating a block. And the validators are chosen based on their previous performance history, the reputation, and also, or this is the main component, where the number of ethers that they hold, the amount that they are willing to stake, the higher it is, the higher the probability of them being the validator for the block. So once they've reached that part where once they have staked enough ethers, they will be given the chance or a probability of validating a block. However, it is not so it works on random selections as well, but it also promotes the rich getting to be richer by them having the higher probability of becoming a validator. And one thing to note is that any sort of malicious activity that is being carried out in the block will lead to the validator's collateral, which is the staked ethers, being completely slashed, thus removing any sort of possibility or probability or even interest in carrying out malicious activities in the Ethereum chain. So the proof of stake transition happened in order for Ethereum to become a more scalable network. And why is that? Because Ethereum is not just limited to its cryptocurrencies, but also of its DeFi platform and NFTs and so on and so forth, thus leading to the formation of what is called the proof of stake consensus mechanism, where the validators are staking in the hopes of becoming a validator. So that is about proof of stake. Coming to the differences between proof of work and proof of stake, let's take different parameters. The first one being the consensus mechanism in itself. Proof of work requires cryptographic mining, which is basically miners competing to solve a computational problem. And on the other side, proof of stake requires validators to stake their cryptocurrencies as collateral. In the proof of work mechanism, the first miner to solve the hash wins the rewards, and here the validator is selected based on the algorithm. The rewards earned in the proof of work mechanism is done through cryptocurrencies. Like in Bitcoin, 6.25 Bitcoins are rewarded for the first miner. However, in proof of stake mechanism, they are rewarded through transaction fees. Proof of work mechanism requires a lot of energy, thus making it less efficient. The mining rigs require so much of computational expertise along with energy requirements, thus making a not so sustainable solutions. However, proof of stake is comparatively efficient because it does not use as much as the proof of work mechanism does. Coming to the 51% attack. So in proof of work mechanism, in order for a 51% attack to take place, one entity or joint entities need to have the power of 51% energy consumption. They need 51% of the energy requirements in order to do so, thus making it extremely difficult to cheat the system. On the other hand, proof of stake slashes the collateral completely when a 51% attack is going to take place, or when a 51% attack is going to take place. It's extremely hard for one ownership to have 51% of the ethers as a whole. So that's how the differences are between the proof of work and proof of stake consensus mechanism. I hope I made it clear for you. Thank you for watching my video. I hope it was useful.